In other words, we consider the merged entity as ongoing entity of both the entities. Now, another thing that we need to be wary of, related party loans and services. About 5 years ago, the transfer pricing circular was introduced, and then last year they also introduced an amendment to it talking about related party loans and services. So basically what we have to be mindful of is if we have cross-border loans to related parties, then arm's length interest will have to be charged. Okay? And the reason for that is if at the moment we have interest-free loans, say from holding company, from next year, this loan, even though you don't pay interest, IRAS would deem the arm's length interest is chargeable because they would want to collect withholding tax. Because most of the times when we pay interest to a non-resident, withholding tax will be applicable. And IRAS has indicated that they will allow a transition and they will look at related party loans from 1st Jan 2011, and they expect arm's length interest to be borne. A lot of clients have asked me, how do we determine arm's length interests? Well, normally what I would suggest is we get a quotation from the bank. And depending on whether you want to have low interest, if you have low interest at the moment, yen is very low, you can justify even a 0.5% rate of interest. So at 0.5% interest per year, your interest payment is actually very low. So those can be planned. And routine services, here routine services would be administration, general support. As in the past, they will expect a 5% markup on routine services, and they have emphasized that the 5% will only apply to general support administration services. If you are doing other things, for example, R&D, engineering services, then that 5% would not be sufficient. They expect arm's length markup. Now, interesting thing to note is Section 12.6. Now, Section 12.6 is a deeming provision where we deem interests, management fee, arrangement fees that are paid in respect of indebtedness to be sourced in Singapore. So if the interest or income is deemed to be sourced in Singapore paid to a non-resident, withholding will be applicable. Under the old concession, MOF had indicated that in respect of guarantee fee, if you can show that the guarantee was performed outside Singapore, then withholding will not be applicable. Now they have actually formalized it. So they have indicated now under Section 12.6a that so long as you can show that the arrangement sometimes is syndication arrangement, management services, guarantee fees paid, relating to any loan or indebtedness, as long as all these are performed outside Singapore, Section 12.6 deeming provision will not apply. In other words, you do not need to account for withholding tax if such payments are made to non-residents. Now, under Section 12.7, we have deeming provision that deems royalties, management fees, service fee to be sourced in Singapore. And if these are paid to non-resident, again, withholding will apply. However, MOF again had the concession to say that in respect of technical fees, service fees, if all these services were wholly rendered outside, the deeming provision will not apply. But the difficulty is with management fee. They say that for management fee, only if the management fee is a dollar for dollar reimbursement would withholding not apply. In fact, I had running disagreements with IRAS for many years because I told them when we pay management fees to a holding company, you say you only want reimbursement, otherwise withholding will apply. But when we are providing management services and charge overseas subsidiaries management fee, you now say that we have to do a markup, dollar for dollar reimbursement is not sufficient. So you are actually contradicting yourself. So I'm not sure whether because of my persistence, they have now amended the Act again under 7A. So sometimes persistence pay, right? That as long as you can show that all these services, including management services, are rendered wholly outside Singapore, withholding tax will not apply. Now, be mindful about the converse, because at the moment, I always have issues with IRAS. I will always end up with withholding tax when I receive management fees from Taiwan. But IRAS refuses to grant us a credit. Okay, that issue is not resolved. The problem with Singapore-Taiwan Treaty is management fee is not included into business profit. So Taiwan actually had the right to withhold. But now IRAS said, well, all the services are performed in Singapore, Singapore source income. We will not give you credit. But to me, that position is wrong. But that fight we will leave for another day. Now, a casino has opened, so we also have a new Section 12(8). So if the two casinos make payments of commission or other fees to junket promoter, then these payments will be deemed sourced in Singapore, and they're, oh, sorry, it's not 30%, should be 3%. There will be a 3% withholding. Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I'll end my presentation and end control back to Winston. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Sam. After all that valuable sharing, let us now proceed for a short 10-minute washroom break and reconvene for the next part of the seminar at about 3:15 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, you can also make use of the time to complete the feedback form to hand it to any of our staff members. And I'll see you guys back at 3:15. Thank you so much.